Oh yeah, man. Y'all know what it is, man. Y'all know what it is, man. Y'all get up in here. Y'all get up in here. We gonna wait till these people come up in the building, man. And once you come up in the live, man, do us a favor. Drop a like on the video. And if you're watching it on the playback, man, do us a favor, man. Hype the video up, man. I see people starting to come in, man. But we're gonna give a chance for some more people to filter in, man, and we're gonna get off into it. But and we got a special guest here today, man. It's been a long time coming. I know y'all seen this guy all over these YouTube streets breaking it down, man, keeping it funky, raw, and uncut. I know y'all seen the collaboration he's doing with Money Main. They breaking it all down. But we got a special guest, man. Hey, this guy ain't no stranger to it all, man, because this guy has been following this Colorado train with Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, LaJohntay Wester, Shiloh, all of them. You know, he's Xavier Weaver, man. He even took a trip down to the NFL Combine to check these guys out, man. So we're going to get it popping today, man. Once y'all come in, man, make sure y'all drop a like on the video, man. And we'll get this thing started, man. We're just waiting for some people to come up in here, man, and we'll get it off and cracking, man. But you know what I'm gonna do, man? I'm not even gonna waste y'all time, man. I'm gonna bring this guy on stage and let him give himself a warm welcome and an introduction. But I got my man Magdog TV in the building.
Man.
What's going on, my brother?
Not much. What's going on with you? I'm glad to be here. I've been watching you for a minute. You're doing a great job yourself. So I'm excited to be here and talk about these crazy Browns.
Man, it's crazy. And like I tell people, man, and this is the thing that people don't understand, man. It's a lot of narratives going on out there. It's a lot of narratives, and I'm glad we got people like you, Money Main, and everybody that always wants to shut this stuff down. And you know, we didn't heard it from the Cleveland insiders, we didn't heard it from the Cleveland media, man. But the crazy thing about it is, I always keep them receipts, man. And I be telling people, man, I got all the receipts, man. But y'all see it, trouble brewing in Cleveland, man, because you know, yesterday we woke up to a bombshell. The bombshell report about the trade rumors, man. So on that aspect, man, let me ask you this, man. I know it's a lot of false narratives out there and things like that, but when you heard Rizzo come up, because I know you produced a straight up dope video about this. So when you heard the noise and them rumblings, what was your take?
Man, I was like, here we go again. You know, it's every day is something, and then we may go like a day or two, and then bam, we hit with something else. And I expect us to be hit with something different. This gonna get even more crazier because right now we're in the off season, so I feel like the media have nothing else to talk about, so they're trying to find ways to get in the algorithm. But when I first heard about the news, my first thoughts was, I mean, it was expected. This man here been gambling. Anytime, I think Peter Rose, they banned him for life.
Yeah.
This is a serious situation, so it was expected, but it was surprising a little bit as well.
See, when I heard it, man, I was like, man, hold up, because you know Rizzo really been on top of this, man. He's at a point where like he's so pissed off because you won't even give Shedeur a chance, man. And it's been everybody but Shedeur. And my problem is like they won't even give him an opportunity to even give him a real judgment to say that, you know, he's a franchise quarterback. And what pissed me off is I heard today when they was talking about Shedeur, you know, Adam the Bull called Tony Rizzo a buffoon, right? So when he said the fact that nobody is checking for Shedeur, ain't nobody going to trade no 6 or 7 round draft pick for Shedeur because he ain't went out there improving himself. But the problem I have is y'all sat there and advocated for somebody that ain't even in the NFL and Brendan Sorsby, and y'all talking about giving up a 2nd to 3rd round pick to even put a bid on him in the supplemental draft. But hey, Roger Goodell shut that down. We ain't having no supplemental draft. You know, his chances of getting into the NFL are on hold right now. But when I heard things like that, like you talking out the side of your neck, and he's talking about Rizzo's show. Why is Rizzo's show still being aired? Because of the things that he's saying. But as far as OTAs and training camp, I know you've been all over it with all the footage and things like that, but just want to show the chat, some things of OTA that Shedeur was doing. So in OTAs, Shedeur, he was out there winging that thing. And some of these clips right here, man, there's your boy Jerry Jeudy dropping passes. You know what I'm saying? Ball hitting right in his hand, because I heard you an ex-receiver, so you know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Nice pass to KC Concepcion, right down the middle. Like some of his balls on time and on target, like they said, he's getting the ball out quick. He's going through his progressions. The footwork is nice. He's slimmed down, and he's doing everything. Look at that, man. Tillman, like, look how Tillman's protecting the ball. So when you see clips like this, because I know you produce videos about it, when you see clips like this, what is going through your mind?
Right now, what's going through my mind is I'm paying a lot of attention to the wide receivers. Of course, a lot of it has to do with me being a former receiver, but there's been a lot of cases where we see a lot of drops. So I'm actually not necessarily focused on Shedeur, simply because I have a lot of confidence. I know he's gonna get the ball where it needs to be. So when I'm watching these clips, I'm looking at the receivers. Are they catching with their hands? Are they trying to body catch it? And I was very impressed this offseason with what I was able to see from Shedeur for sure. But I did see some drops. But as the OTAs went, progressed, I started seeing the receivers improve.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it like you, man. Like, some people are body catchers, some people are hand catchers. I know Michael Irvin used to talk about that all the time, man. You got some body catchers. Like, Michael Irvin was really a body catcher himself. He brought it into his body. Really, he had strong hands and stuff. But what I like about certain players that Andrew Berry went out and dressed, especially Denzel Boston. Denzel Boston knows how to go up and high point the ball. Like, any ball that's up in the air, he know how to get it at his highest peak and uses his hands. But as far as all this jibber jabber that's going on with Shedeur, like I said, I always keep it. People know I keep receipts around here, so we're gonna walk it back a little bit, Magdog. We're gonna walk it back a little bit. Do y'all remember last year when y'all's boy Jason Lloyd came out and said that Shedeur Sanders does not know how to read an NFL defense? People in the organization told him he don't know when he's hot or things like that. This is what Jason Lloyd was saying.
This is the spot that I'm in, I think, with Shedeur, is I've talked to enough people and heard so much about it that's not very good. So what am I supposed to do with that? Am I supposed to play dumb and just come in here and be like, yeah, play the kid, let's give it a shot? When you hear over and over and over again, doesn't really watch a ton of film, had to kind of be shown how to watch film, doesn't know when he's hot, doesn't know what he's looking at in coverages. Am I supposed to ignore all that? No. So that's what leads me to some of the decisions that I've come to. And then when you look at the data, it is what it is. And he didn't play well. So people want me to just ignore all of that because, well, it's Shedeur and it's a 5th round pick. And hey, if they hit on a 5th round pick, it erases Deshaun. All of that is true. But when you're told things over and over and over by different people, it's not one person, it's different people all saying this.
Now, when you hear things like that, we heard that last year. Now, what was your take on that after seeing Shedeur Sanders perform the last 7 games? What was your take on it?
And my take was like, man, here we go again. Once again, we have another reporter, probably never played the game of football or never been around the game, kind of low key has some sort of, hate towards Shedeur, and just coming up with all kind of narrative, just following the train. As far as Shedeur not actually, knowing anything about film or watching, the thing about it is that, Shedeur Sanders has been groomed, for this. Why would, Shedeur not watch film when his father was one of the greatest DBs to ever play the game, And he said something else crazy today about Shedeur. So, I mean, it's just continue to just, continue over and over again. And so I was like, here we go again, some more BS. That was my first thoughts about it. But I obviously watched Shedeur since Jackson State.
Yeah.
So I knew for a fact it was all BS. Even from the actual draft process, all of it was BS. Even with the headphones, all that.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy, Magdog? I'm sitting there thinking, like, Do you remember his first start against the Las Vegas Raiders, right?
Yeah.
The first rookie quarterback in 2016 for the Cleveland Browns to win their first start. You know what they did with that? They got a broom out and swept it under the rug. They didn't want to touch on that. They didn't want to give him credit for that. And then he goes into Tennessee, right? You know, not into Tennessee, but Tennessee came to Cleveland when it was inclement weather, right? You're going against the #1 pick in Cam Ward. What did Shedeur Sanders do in that game? Outside of the Super Bowl era, outside of Joe Burrow from Cincinnati, he is the only rookie quarterback to throw for over 360 yards, 3 TDs, and he had 1 rushing TD. What did they do with that? They swept that under the rug. And that was a game that Kevin Stefanski really put the sabotage tool out there, because you bring in Quinshon Judkins to run the Wildcat, and you got to look at it. Shedeur Sanders did all that in the inclement weather to get you down the field, to get the potential, you know, game tie and touchdown if you get the 2-point conversion and you take Shedeur out. Now, I was sitting there. I was so pissed off, man. So I know you got something to say on that. So what was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was pissed off myself. You know, I'm like, man, like you said before, they try to sweep the good stuff under the rug. When things start, you know, getting real, as far as like this offseason, they were saying Shedeur is closing the gap. How he's closing the gap when the head coach say we have two starters, I don't understand that. But when things start to look good, then they come out with something else, whether it's trade or, you know, it's always something to try to lower this man's, you know, success. And as you said before, for him to throw over 300 yards against an NFL team, I mean, what about that makes you think that he doesn't watch film? I mean, how can you produce like that in the NFL when you don't watch film or you don't know how to read coverages?
Yeah. and you know, Magdog, the crazy thing about it is I listen to these people, right? And then I got to go back, because sometimes if you just wait for a second, they'll start telling on themselves, right? And they'll start backpedaling on their words, right? So the reason why I brought that Jason Lloyd clip up, because it comes to something recent. And I want to ask the chat this. For a guy that they say can't read NFL defenses, can't read coverages, and your son is a quarterback, right? And he goes to the University of Colorado, would you guys want somebody they say that can't read NFL coverages to go up and teach your son how to play the quarterback position and read coverages and DBs? So this is what I want to do for you guys. For people that ain't seen it, I'm going to show y'all this clip of Shedeur Sanders, right? Shedeur Sanders in Colorado, when he went up there, getting his little work in, was in the quarterback room with Juju Lewis and them, teaching them the game of football from the quarterback's perspective. So let's take a look at that. And y'all tell me, would y'all want y'all's kids to listen to Shedeur if he can't read NFL coverages? Let's take a look at this.
I try to eliminate it when it's press more times than not.
Okay.
But based off shell, going right or left.
Okay. If even if he is pressed, then it's still okay. If it's pressing its head up press, you went inside it and you break flat. You get what I'm saying? That's fine.
Yeah.
But say there.
Now hold up, chat. Now I'm talking to y'all, chat. Does that sound like somebody that don't know how to read coverages? Because he's teaching these guys when DBs are pressing, when it's one-on-one coverage, who's hot and who to go to. So just continue to listen.
Often they're inside sitting, then what?
No.
So it's like pre-snap. It's not just like simple as one-on-one, and it's not simple. Like it's all these different general ideas you got to think about. Like if this is a premier look, then okay, cool. But if he's sitting inside, now yes, technically you're right by going to the one-on-one, but it's a bad look. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. He's got to work hard to get across.
So it's kind of like you got to take what he's saying, but feel what's actually going on though. Even on this choice route, it should be very simple, bro. They're either going to be outside or inside. It's going to be one of the two. If it is man and they flat-footed, what would y'all rather? Would you rather them go in corner? Would you rather like all these plays? It's a lot of details that is going to come from y'all to the receivers. Coach can only like tell you what play to do. Y'all got to actually like take control, like tell them kind of what you want and know what you're looking for, you know? Because then even on that break, like how I see it is, okay, if number 3, Z, if he's going vertical, say it's like too high, then I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna wrap right behind that backer. If it's zone, you'll be able to either high-low number 1, the first read, or the cap play. You just be able to high-low that and too high. But they gotta know, because he may think, oh, this safety's inside, but he's like 10 yards off, and he may go corner to cover 4. You get what I'm saying? Now you stuck with the ball in your hand.
Yeah.
Now, guys, does that sound like somebody that you want to let your kids be under the tutelage of from all the narratives that they saying, Mad Dog?
Man, I'm telling you, that's one of the things that proves that this man knows what he's talking about is being on the same page with your wide receiver. You know, when I was playing college ball, that was probably the most important information to have, you know, as far as wide receivers. And what he's basically saying is that, you know, as far as choice is, you know, the DB, if his butt to the sideline, you know, he might be in zone. Your coach might not be able to see that on the sideline. You know, you knowing that as a receiver, you have a choice route. Let's say the play could be, you know, for you to run a hitch route, but if you see the DB possibly playing zone, then you know, okay, I need to change my route to, you know, maybe a fade and expect it to be a hole shot. You know, those are details that he actually talking about right there, and you know, he's spitting to him. You know, I absolutely love that.
So it goes back to what he said, you know, last year when he took over in the Baltimore Ravens game about the trust factor. If he don't trust you, then it's going to be hard for him to go to you. And I think, me personally, I think he has created this bond with Isaiah Bond, knowing that Isaiah Bond is going to stretch the field for him. He's going to come down with balls. We saw, because we're going to go back to last year, because when Dylan Gabriel was out there, you remember the game they played when it was a little bit of rain and they didn't want Dylan Gabriel to really throw the ball, so they leaned on Quinshon Judkins to run the ball and stuff like that because of the weather conditions. Now, why come we didn't get that same verbiage when Shedeur Sanders had to go into inclement weather for the last 7 games? But we know that don't affect Shedeur, because we saw what Shedeur did in the rain against Colorado State when he threw the ball to LaJohntay Wester going across his body when it was raining and threw a dot down the field. So nobody brought up the fact that Shedeur had to go into these inclement weather situations and go out there and sling the ball the way he did. You look at when he played Tennessee, inclement weather, slinging the ball through that nice little seam route to Jerry Jeudy cutting across the middle. And you go back when they played Chicago, threw the long ball to Isaiah Bond. Nobody talked about that. So this notion of the Cleveland media and these insiders not giving him a chance, especially Adam the Bull talking about he don't believe in it. Why come? This is my problem. Why come they don't believe in Shedeur? From all the things that we've seen from Shedeur, all the college numbers, one of the greatest completion percentages in NCAA AA history, and you don't believe in a guy like this, a guy that went into TCU his first game and threw for over 400 yards? But y'all don't believe in this guy that took Jackson State from the bottom of the barrel all the way up to the top. And then a guy that goes into Colorado, which they said that that Deion and them could never turn that program around, and got him to a bowl game.
Exactly. He took a 1-11 football team to turn it around. You know, I don't understand it neither. And then this man didn't get any first team reps, you know, last year, and still went out there and threw over 300 yards against the NFL's first pick.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. This man, you know how hard that is to not get any first team reps, any reps in the off season, and still go out there and dominate and make the Pro Bowl your first year. I mean, I can't explain that.
And then Adam the Bull says, if I'm Shedeur, I'm not accepting that Pro Bowl invite. Like, what are we doing here? And then you got to look at it like this. Shout out to Travis Hunter, because Travis Hunter is who Travis Hunter is. Travis Hunter is that dude. But Shedeur Sanders played a role in Travis Hunter getting that Heisman Trophy. You know, he played a role in Xavier Weaver for being in the NFL. He played a role for LaJohntay Wester being in the NFL. You get what I'm saying? For all the receivers that Shedeur Sanders had to throw to, he got them to the NFL. And the crazy thing about it is, Magdog, they got on the field before Shedeur Sanders.
They sure did, and he had all 4 starting receivers in the league. So if you don't know how to play the quarterback position, how do you have all 4 make it to the NFL?
Yeah, and Jimmy Horn out there in Carolina too. Yeah,
absolutely. You got Will Shepherd in Green Bay.
Yeah.
LeJontay Baltimore. Jimmy Horn Panthers. I mean, you got all your receivers in the league. So they didn't get there by accident. I mean, they had to have somebody throwing them the football.
And my thing is, for them, they don't even want to give him a chance. It's like, do you remember during the offseason, all it was talk about quarterbacks? They talked about Malik Willis, going out getting Malik Willis. They talked about when Kirk Cousins became when Atlanta did away with him, bringing in Kirk Cousins. They talked about Kyler Murray. But do you guys understand something? All the quarterbacks that they talked about, none of them walked through that door because Andrew Berry said, look, this is what I'm going to do. I know what I got in Shedeur Sanders, right? So I'm going to start this offseason off. I'm going to go out and get me a trade. Got the boy from Houston, right? So that let me know that he wanted to bolster that interior line, right? So then guess what happened? All kinds of other offensive linemen started getting traded to Cleveland. And then what he did in the draft, you went out and get your offensive lineman and Spencer Fano, and then you get 2 big play receivers in Denzel Boston and KC Concepcion to build around that quarterback. And just like you stated earlier, what did you say? You said that the fact that the notion of not giving Shedeur Sanders a chance and all the narratives that they got and everything that we pointed out, and then you talked about Brendan Sorsby. They advocated for Brendan Sorsby. That didn't work out. Like I said, Roger Goodell shut that down quick, fast, in a hurry. So that didn't work out. So everything that you said, for everything that you cover and all the things that you pointed out, it just makes me think like they don't like Deshaun Watson and they don't care for Shedeur Sanders.
I absolutely agree. And as you said before, I think it's more so the media. A lot of times I hear people say the Browns don't want Shedeur. They don't want Shedeur. Listen, they had every opportunity to have Malik Willis, Kyler Murray, all these quarterbacks in the offseason and in the draft. They had numerous of opportunities to draft Ty Simpson. All these names we've been hearing. Yet they went out there, like you said, spent a lot of money. I think the most in the league on offensive line as far as free agency. They went and got Fano, and then 2 first-round wide receivers as far as the draft. So that alone tells you that the inside, as far as the facility, they want Shedeur Sanders. If they didn't want him, they had opportunities to show us and prove that. Now, last year, you could say that when, the head coach, Kevin Stefanski, as you said before, you can see the plays, how it's designed, difference from Dylan Gabriel having pass protection and Shedeur Sanders an empty set. So you can see how everything was designed. Dylan Gabriel throwing quick hitches and getting the ball out of his hands fast because that's how the offensive plays were designed. Where you have Shedeur, they calling post routes and long receiver routes, and it looks like Shedeur is not getting the ball out of his hands, but it was all planned.
Yeah, and I'm glad you pointed that out because it goes back to what you said about all these other draft choices that they could have got. But Andrew Berry kind of stood 10 toes down to let y'all know. And then I'm going to go back to what you said earlier about when you said, oh, Shedeur is playing catch up. He didn't caught up to Deshaun Watson. Who said he was behind Deshaun Watson? Who said that, this is what pisses me off because Mary Kay said some things. The reason why Mary Kay wrote the article she wrote about Deshaun Watson has a leg up on Shedeur Sanders. You might as well give him quarterback 1. She brought in the fact that he was a Pro Bowler. He did it before. You know what I'm saying? He was a Pro Bowler in Houston. You know what he did for the Houston, how he got this big contract. You cannot give somebody a quarterback 1 position just because your merits say so. You got to go out there and prove yourself. Just like Deshaun Watson said when the first time he spoke, when he said a lot of people think that, you know, I can take it back to 2020. Man, that's 6 years ago, man. You didn't have shoulder surgery. You didn't have messed up your Achilles. You didn't have all these accusations against you. You didn't have the Cleveland media and the Cleveland people turn on you. And now you think that you can turn back the clock. And I be telling people, anybody can go out there with a helmet, a jersey, and some shorts and throw the ball to wide open people when you ain't getting a rush on you. Shedeur Sanders just came off of live action, 7 straight games, 2-game win streak to go into the offseason against divisional opponents in Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. And he's been in the fire. He didn't had live bullets at him. When the last time Deshaun Watson had live bullets at him? Because if you think about it, Deshaun Watson, when he hurt that shoulder and he got traded to Cleveland, he set out the first 11 games. See, people don't understand. People don't realize that.
They don't. They don't realize that at all. And it's hard for you to come back. You know, football is not a game where you can just turn the switch on and off when you feel like it. You know, you have to continually play the game, get hit, all those things. So Shedeur actually has the leg up, as you mentioned, because he just played. You know, he's been playing all throughout. And before that, as far as Colorado go, and so Deshaun Watson has a lot that he has to overcome, not just practice, but he actually have to get hit. You know, he have to take hits and, like you say, see the live bullets again. And so as far as what's going on right now, it's about what you do now, not what you did in 2024. You know, that's not going to prove that you can win games right now. We need to see it, you know. So I'm excited about training camp. I'm excited about the preseason. I already have the expectation Shedeur is going to ball. We all know that.
Oh, yeah.
It's more about what Deshaun Watson going to do because we haven't seen it since 2024.
Exactly.
So the pressure is on him.
So as far as these trade rumors, man, how much stock do you put in it?
I don't put no stock in it at all. You know, you have people that's talking about trade room. Now I see this. I do feel like teams out there have called for Shedeur, but I don't feel like the Browns just say, you know what, I'm going to trade Shedeur just because we have 2 starting quarterbacks. People forget Todd Monken stated I have 2 starting potential quarterbacks. So if I know that I have that, why would I get rid of one of them? You know what I'm saying? So I don't see any, I don't put any stock as far as Browns trying to get rid of Shedeur. I just put stock in it that, you know, the league is taking notice. You know, they all know they messed up. They should have drafted Shedeur, but now it's too late because I personally don't feel like the Browns is going to get off Shedeur. I just feel like now they hear Todd Monken speaking highly of Shedeur, QB coach, offensive coordinator talking about the footwork. You know, so if you're somebody that's licking your chops and you know you need a quarterback, why wouldn't you try to, you know, go out to Shedeur? You know, so I do feel like that's true.
Yeah.
But I feel like the way that they're creating that narrative is false.
But and I'm glad you pointed that out because do you remember when a lot of people said, ain't nobody checking for Shedeur? Ain't nobody calling Cleveland about Shedeur. Shedeur ain't got no value. Shedeur is not a quarterback. But all of a sudden, these rumors come out. Now it's a thing. Oh, they checking for Shedeur now. But see, the narrative out there was, oh, ain't nobody checking for Shedeur. Ain't nobody going to trade up for Shedeur. Ain't nobody filtering phone calls because we know what happened last year when they said the only team that was interested in Shedeur was the Cleveland Browns. But that proved to be a lie because Prom said that Baltimore and Philly was checking for him. But, you know, he turned it down, you know what I'm saying, because he didn't want to sit behind Lamar Jackson. And, you know, Todd Monken, he wanted him. Todd Monken wanted him to come to Georgia. He recruited him to come to Georgia. You know what I'm saying? So Todd Monken thinks highly of him. Todd Monken been giving him praise all, you know, through the offseason, even leading up to coming into OTAs, how he got in shape, how he's been working his butt off, how, you know, his progressions are faster. The footwork is nice. Even Lance Reslin, he said some things about it because when he talked about Deshaun Watson, he said the thing about Deshaun Watson, he's all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Shedeur hasn't been too high. He ain't been too low. He's been consistent. And the one thing that stood out to me when Lance said this, he said Shedeur has impact. Impact. Now, when you have impact on them veterans in that locker room and you got respect from them veteran, that goes a long way. So that brings me to this little segue here because we heard the talks on Speakeasy with Shady McCoy talked about, oh, you know, I've been hearing it that Deshaun Watson got the inside track for quarterback 1. We didn't know who his sources was. But like I said, if you sit back and you just wait a minute, What don't come out in the wash will come out in the rinse. So when they talked about certain situations about Shedeur, let's take a listen to what Shady McCoy had to say this time about Shedeur Sanders when it all unfolded. Take a listen.
Saw Shedeur getting first team reps, but you know Deshaun has had more success. Are you excited about it? You hate it? What you feeling?
I mean, from a fan's perspective, I would think like, oh, the veteran quarterback doesn't need the first team reps as much as the young and inexperienced guy. But also, I think it aligns more with what Todd Monken said about this quarterback room. He feels like he has two starters, and this tells me that he genuinely does believe that. If I'm looking at first team reps and his confidence and these guys building a chemistry with the wide receivers, I would think that, yeah, he does think Shedeur Sanders is a starting level player, which is a great sign. If you're a Cleveland Browns fan and you're going into this season with question marks all over the place, yeah, to have the idea that my coach thinks that both of my quarterbacks are starting level, cool. I think that's all that this tells me. I still think Deshaun Watson is going to be the starter, but it's also great for Shedeur's development to be able to get this many reps in practice.
Now you heard that. So when I'm sitting there listening to speak, they just be all over the place, especially Acho. Acho be all over the place, man. Acho just says anything that comes to his mind and don't have no substance behind it. But then there was one clip, I don't have it, but when Shady McCoy said, yeah, I talked to Jerry Jeudy. Yeah, Shedeur looking good over there. You know, Deshaun Watson, he got the inside track to win. So a lot of people saying, okay, now you citing your source. Now we heard what Ocho said. See, when Ocho sparked all this, Ocho sparked the trade rumors. Ocho put it out there, and that's when Rizzo picked it up the next day. So let's listen to what Ocho said. For the people that didn't hear what Ocho said, this is what Ocho had to say.
He's been off for so long, and that football is.
Take it back. Let me take this.
And according to Jeremy Fowler, Shedeur Sanders has bridged the gap between him and Deshaun Watson. Deshaun went to the spring as a clear-cut favorite, and then Shedeur has bridged the gap. According to The Athletic, Watson lacked consistency during OTAs. Watson seemed healthy and occasionally threw downfield and with confidence, but he lacked consistency and threw too often into traffic. Ocho?
Yes, sir.
What you thinking?
I ain't really thinking nothing.
His job to lose?
No, yeah, I told you that, and that's exactly how it's going to be. For those that in the chat that love football, whether you're a Cleveland Browns fan or not, Deshaun Watson is the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. The job that Deshaun Watson is going to get, Uncle Joe, it is his job to lose. He has 6 weeks. I guarantee you, listen to me now. I'm calling it right now, Uncle Joe. He has 6 weeks to make sure that team is playing above or better than whatever the expectations may be for that team and that quarterback. If he's not, Shedeur Sanders will fall in line as the backup and be the starter for the remainder of the season.
I don't think it's going to take 6 weeks. I think because he's been off for so long, and that football is a timing rhythm thing, especially at the quarterback position. And if you can't be consistent in this league, fellas, y'all know, y'all played it. Bro, they only going to deal with so much. Now, they going to give him an opportunity, Uncle Ocho. But, yeah. They going to give, but I don't think it's going to take 6 weeks before Shedeur get in there. That's just me.
But, if they doing bad, I think most of the time, I could be wrong.
Now, this is where Ocho kind of walked this. You see, look, Joe put him in a corner. So you see how Ocho got to go to to answer the question. Now, pay attention, guys. Listen.
You'd be better suited to answer that when it comes to a quarterback and you got somebody over your shoulder. If you're not playing well, I thought maybe it would be the 6 week mark because you don't want to lose too much of the season where you still have a chance to compete. At least play for something.
You see how Joe, look, Magdog, you see how Joe put him in a corner? And now Ocho, he had to slow down and take back. Now he got to go to and be like, hey, answer the question because Joe put me in a little trick bag.
Well, the question is, when is their bye week? How soon is their bye week?
Right.
How bad? I mean, is the offense stagnant? Yeah. You know what I'm saying, Ocho? I mean, yes, you're like 3 and out, pick, fumble. Now, we maybe have 3-4 weeks of that, and then we got to make a switch.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just hard to be off the length of time. It's because we got to go back to like Deshaun hadn't been that guy since his last. Because remember,
last year in Houston.
Excuse me, his last year in Houston, Ocho, he led the league in passing.
Yeah, he went crazy.
And then all that information comes out. He didn't play another snap, even though he was still on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's what I'm
He
talking
goes to Cleveland. He misses the first 11 games.
Yep.
The next year he gets hurt with a shoulder. The next year he tears his Achilles.
Yeah.
So when you look at it in the last 4 to 5 years, he's played one season. If you add the games up, I believe in its totality.
Yeah.
You see how he pinned. Look, man, I'm gonna let you go and break this one down. You see how he pinned him in the corner, man?
Oh, absolutely. I see that. And you know, as Sharp mentioned, I mean, this man hasn't played in a while. And so to just flip that switch on is going to be very, very difficult. But now I think the most important thing, as you said before, going back to McCoy, when he cited that source saying that Judy told him, that pretty much told us exactly who's the inside source as far as everybody, whether it's Jason Lord, McCoy, Ocho Cinco. We know that it's still one link that they need to cut off. I think it's going to be that Jag, man, because he's giving a lot of information. I really feel like Judy is the dead weight that they got to get rid of. I hope, because as far as we're going to see how he play, because I mean, if he's go to dropping passes and not showing any effort in routes or catching the football, we know what's going on. And it's hard as for a quarterback to produce when you have a wide receiver that's BSing.
Yeah. So this year's wide receiver class is stacked. So I know you just said a lot about Jerry Jeudy. Like everybody think he's the mole on the wall, giving out, intel and stuff like that. Because a lot of people, I guess, like Ocho said it, he's good friends with Jerry Jeudy. He's been seen with Jerry Jeudy. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, that information only comes from people that are inside that know this close hand. So you're not hearing it from nobody else on the outside, because we know certain practices and certain things. Todd Monken has that facility shut down. It's only certain people that can get in there and see that. So if I'm your homeboy, I can call you up anytime and get information about what's going on. So basically, that's what Shady McCoy was saying. Like, hey, all I gotta do is pick up the phone or text and call Jerry Jeudy. He gonna give me some information. So basically, Ocho's saying the same thing. A lot of people came in my comment section and said, no, Jerry Jeudy didn't tell Ocho that. Yeah, that's where he got his info. So where else is Ocho getting that information from?
Absolutely, because he's not getting it from the coaches, because every time they speak about Shedeur, it's all positive. So he's absolutely getting it from Jerry Jeudy. And I feel like Jerry Jeudy is the one that wants Deshaun Watson. I mean, when he in his interview, his most recent interview, he spoke about the difference between Shedeur and Deshaun Watson. He said, Deshaun, I played with him for a certain amount of time. I'm comfortable with him. Deshaun looks good. And then as far as Shedeur, he said that Shedeur is getting better. He's improved since last year. So people got to be able to read between the line as far as how they speaking.
Yeah, because I looked at certain interviews, because I think there was a video and picture footage of Jerry Jeudy and Ocho together probably last week sometime. And then I look at it like this. This is the problem I have. When they say Shedeur is bridging the gap, well, like what gap does he have to bridge? Like this is where I'm lost. Like, what gap does he have to bridge for Deshaun Watson?
That's what I don't understand. Like, how is he bridging a gap that's already even? So it's almost like they're telling me, forget what Todd Monken is saying.
Yeah.
Forget whatever he's saying is BS. This is what we're saying as far as how this team is being run. And so it's like, if you Ocho Cinco or McCoy or anybody out there that believe that Shedeur is not actually even at the least with Deshaun Watson, then you are a Shedeur hater, because Todd Monken is telling us that there's no starter right now. So who do you want to believe, the head coach or, Mary Kay or anybody else out there that's creating these false narratives?
And see, and the problem I have is, like, what is the issue we already know what the issue is, but what is the issue that they have with Shedeur Sanders? Like, why do they keep belittling this guy and undermining everything Shedeur Sanders has to do and when he does it? Like, they make a big deal about everything. You know what I'm saying? And what pisses me off, like, we know that he is a franchise quarterback for somebody, but Cleveland just don't want to give him a chance. And I just find it far-fetched that we are down that road because I got to play this clip. I got to play this clip of Adam the Bull when he talked about Tony Rizzo. And when Adam the Bull went on his state about Shedeur Sanders, this is not coming from a place of looking from your lenses to seeing exactly what this guy can bring to the table. So let's take a listen to what Adam the Bull had to say. I got to do it, man. I got to do it. I wasn't going to
nicely or nightly. Tony Rizzo is a buffoon.
Jesus.
Yesterday on his show, which is somehow still on the air.
How do you come up with that after you say, I'm going to put this nicely?
That's crazy work.
Well, he doesn't deserve to be treated nicely, does he? We know what he's done.
I plead the fifth.
He
Why did I
started rumors that teams are calling the Browns about trade offers.
For Shedeur Sanders.
For Shedeur Sanders.
You need to put that
which
in there.
I don't believe. Also, you know, I was saying this morning, like, and I was for a time saying, okay, listen, if Deshaun Watson's found it again, play him. But I'm so far beyond that now. Like, first of all, nobody's giving up anything for Shedeur Sanders because he hasn't proven anything in the league.
Correct.
Okay? And he was drafted. If he had been a first-round pick and hadn't proven anything, it was different. He was a later pick. Okay. Number two, if somebody offered a 6th or 7th round pick for him, I wouldn't even make that trade.
No.
Because I'd rather see him play and see if there's a chance he pans out than get a 6th or 7th round pick.
Could not agree more.
Nobody's giving up anything better than that. So what is the point of this? It's so stupid. And I got to say, like everything else in this country, when it comes to Shedeur Sanders, people have taken to the extremes, and it's so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
All right? He's not infallible. He's not perfect. He's made a lot of mistakes. He's got flaws in his game. He's also not the worst quarterback ever. Now, I know a lot was made of Jason bringing up, what was it, EPA or whatever.
I mean, it's more than that, but yes.
Whatever the stats were, okay? It's still a short sample size. Now, I've made it very clear that I'm not a huge believer in Shedeur Sanders. I think the odds are better than not that he's not going to be the answer at quarterback. But to say there's no chance is stupid. Mm-hmm. And to say there's and the other way, to make it seem like he's a sure thing is also stupid. It's ridiculous. That's where most people are, and most people are behaving stupidly with the Shedeur Sanders conversation. By the way, even though it's a good idea, seeing those cameras on their heads looks so stupid. Even though I get it, and it's a good idea, it just looks so dumb. But let's stop with this nonsense. Let's stop with the nonsense of trades that don't exist. Let's stop with the nonsense of playing Deshaun Watson because it's the most idiotic thing ever. You know, the Browns have had bad ownership forever. They have the worst owner in professional sports. Their GM, I'll give him a little credit, has done, at least on paper, a better job the last 2 years. Last year, a little more than paper because the guys have played. This year on paper, I like what he's done mostly. But overall, in his tenure, he's done a bad job. They've mostly had bad coaches. And if they start Deshaun Watson there, continue to be as stupid an organization as you could possibly, because Deshaun Watson is absolute trash. He cannot play. He will never play at a high level ever again in the league. Anybody with a brain knows this, and so it'd be stupid for him to play. So let's stop with all this crapola.
Now, hold up, Mad Dog, man. Come on, man. walk me through what you just heard, man.
I just heard a man tell me that having a camera on your helmet to be able to go over film after practice with your head coach. So like if I'm throwing a ball, and let's say as I throw an interception, for me and my head coach to break this down together in the film room is crazy. Is enough information I need to know about who I'm listening to. So anything else that he says is BS to me. As a player, that tells me everything I need to know about Bull. You know what I'm saying? He never played the game of football. That's all it is. and he just don't know what's going on.
Man, it's like sitting there listening to him. He's so contradicting of some of the things that he says. Now you know the problem is because we heard all the good things that Andrew Berry said about Shedeur. We heard all the good things that the quarterback coach said about Shedeur. We heard all the good things that the head coach said about Shedeur. Now it seems like some of these people are trying to walk back. Now they want to say, okay, we need to throw him in there to see what he can do for us. You know what I'm saying? Now, y'all wasn't talking that stuff last year when y'all was talking about y'all's boy Dylan Gabriel. Oh, Dylan Gabriel was head and shoulders above Shedeur. Y'all wasn't giving Shedeur no type of credit. Shedeur had to go up to the local college kids to get reps in. And the way he performed without reps and the way he looked in the last 7 games, man, give this guy his propers. Give him his respect.
But my thing is, why wasn't they showing that same type of energy towards Dylan Gabriel that they're doing with Shedeur Sanders? Because you would think that the narrative would be from the Browns is that Dylan Gabriel is the best thing that ever happened, because Shedeur wasn't getting any reps. Yeah. So it was set up for them to have that same type of energy towards Dylan Gabriel, but they never did. They stayed on Shedeur case. And I think that it says a lot about how good and talented Shedeur Sanders is, because we've been talking about Shedeur all offseason. Even during periods where football is considered dead, it's a dead time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So all they're doing is telling us how great of a quarterback Shedeur is, because if he was so trash, why would you spend so much energy every day to talk about a 5th round pick?
Exactly. And it's crazy because now Dylan Gabriel's an afterthought. What happened to Dylan Gabriel? He's an afterthought. Like, y'all don't mention, y'all was so much on board last year advocating for Dylan Gabriel. Now y'all don't want to talk about him. Why? Where is he in this discussion? I think they put Taylor Green above Dylan Gabriel. Like, what is really going on? Because now, let's get off into this before we get up out of here. Let's get off into this Brendan Sorsby situation. I know that Roger Goodell shut that down. There's no supplemental draft, but the notion of somebody that was illegally betting on his own team, and y'all say that he is a 1st to 2nd round quarterback talent in the league, because we all saw 2 years ago when Shedeur Sanders played against Cincinnati how the Colorado Buffaloes put belt to ass. Shedeur Sanders outperformed Brendan Sorsby. They got the W, and y'all want to say that Brendan Sorsby is a better potential and has a higher ceiling than Shedeur Sanders? Where is all that coming from? And then the notion, y'all heard what Bull just said, we're not giving up no 5th, 6th, and 7th round pick, to trade Shedeur or anything like that. But y'all wanted to give up a 2nd and 3rd round pick for Brendan Sorsby for the supplemental draft. It don't make sense.
It don't make any sense at all. And you're absolutely correct. That's the crazy thing about it. It's almost like they always moving the goalposts, but we know exactly what it is. We know why, all this is going on. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, as you said before, Shedeur outperformed Brendan Sorsby, 300 some yards to 180. I mean, what are we talking about? I mean, if Sorsby was a 1st round talented quarterback, those stats would look more like 300 plus yards. It would look like it. And the crazy thing about it is that Brendan Sorsby became a 1st round quarterback in one day. I've never seen anything like it. In one day, June 15th is when he became a 1st round quarterback. I don't know how that's possible. And that's great.
I know. Did you hear the other day on the Earl the Pearl and Spencer German show when Earl the Pearl, he really got off in the Spencer German ass because when this Brendan Sorsby stuff broke about him breaking away from Texas Tech and he wanted to enter himself in the supplemental draft, Brendan Sorsby was on record. He kept on saying that I would give up a 2nd and 3rd round pick to bring in Brendan Sorsby, right? And Earl the Pearl, he kind of let loose on Spencer German, and he was talking directly to Spencer German, and I think it went over Spencer German's head because Earl was talking directly about Spencer German. I'm gonna play that clip, and I'm gonna let y'all chat. I want y'all to decipher for yourself, because Earl was pissed off. All you gotta do is look at Earl, his demeanor after he ran off his soliloquy, and how Spencer German responded, because Spencer German been on record talking about, yeah, Brendan Sorsby. If I got a chance to get Brendan Sorsby, I'm bringing him on in. So let's take a listen to that.
I understand that the Cleveland Browns quarterback position is unsolved. I understand that that is an issue that still needs to be corrected. But Brendan Sorsby ain't it. Brendan Sorsby won't solve this problem. And I think that it's a bit insensitive to Brendan Sorsby, and I think that it's a bit selfish, even though I understand of the why. The why is because the Browns quarterback situation is unresolved. And so until it is resolved, you keep taking as many swings at it as you can until you get it figured out. But this ain't it. And the reason why I call it insensitive and selfish is because I feel like that fans and some of us in the media is so thirsty for anybody to try to come and save the Cleveland Browns at the quarterback position outside of the quarterbacks that's currently on this roster, that they will continue to dismiss that Brendan Sorsby has an addiction. And when you talk about selective morality, that is something that we all have. There are things that, trigger us more often than not. And those tend to happen based on your life experiences, the things that you've witnessed or the things that you might have done yourself, right? And so when it comes to something like this and you get to talking about addiction, I think that's a whole different ball game. I think that's a whole different playing field. And I think it's unfair to continue to push this narrative that the Cleveland Browns should be the team that gives Brendan Sorsby a chance, knowing that he has a gambling addiction when you look at our track record. What bothers me the most is the fact that I feel like people are speaking out of both sides of their neck. Like, you can't have it both ways. And I think it's because people don't like the quarterbacks that's currently on the roster, and they want somebody to come to try to save the Cleveland Browns immediately, and they refuse to see that that's not going to happen. That's exactly how I feel. So what do I mean by talking out of both sides of their neck? You got people saying, you should just start Shedeur. See how this thing play out, because you got to see what you got in Shedeur Sanders. And if it don't play itself out, then you sitting at the top of the draft, and you got an opportunity to draft one of these quarterbacks that's coming out that should be an amazing class. But then turn around and saying, now all of a sudden, since Brendan Sorsby is the latest hot topic that the people think that's going to come and save us, that, you know what, you should kick the tires on here. And those are some of the same people, man, that has bashed Andrew Berry left and right every time he drafted, signed, or traded for a player that had any kind of baggage. That's my issue. And it's like, when people look at addiction, if it's not tied to substance abuse or anything sexual, they'll totally dismiss it. And when people constantly push this narrative that should the Browns kick the tires on drafting him in a supplemental draft, and I see that you constantly dismiss the fact that this man got an addiction, it tells me that you've never dealt with it yourself, or you're not that familiar with people who has dealt with it, because if you were, you would know that the consequences can be very extremely or even deadly sometimes.
Yeah, I think for me, part of the conversation starts there, which is, yes, he has an addiction, but I think that everybody, I certainly, maybe not everybody, but I certainly think, like you and I in this room think that he, just because he has that addiction doesn't mean he doesn't deserve a chance to still play football or have a football career.
Everybody in life deserves a second chance to correct their wrong.
For sure. And that's, so here's the thing. I've said from the beginning, and this comes from what you mentioned as well, like I'm a firm believer that when you don't have a quarterback, you don't have your quarterback room resolved, you don't have that answer yet, you should always be willing to throw resources at it. That's how I feel. And so from the beginning of this conversation, when this could happen, to then he was getting the injunction, he was going to go back to Texas Tech, and then this week it spiraled into now he's actually going back into the supplemental draft. I have kept firm on there are risks with potentially landing this player, and you got to keep that in mind, and that should frame the level of resource you're willing to use. So these people who are out here like, he's a first-round talent, you should throw like a second-round pick on him. I'm not.
Now, y'all hear that? A first-round talent, throw a second-round pick on him. They saying Brendan Sorsby is a first-round talent. What? Hold up, guys. Let me put this in context. Let me slow this down for the people that's in the back. They say Brendan Sorsby is a first-round talent. Why come Shedeur Sanders ain't a first-round talent? The numbers, I mean, men lie, women lie, stats don't. And see, this is what I be trying to tell y'all. Anything that Shedeur Sanders does on the football field, got the Giant United's golden arm and all that stuff, that doesn't matter. It's because he's the son of primetime. They tried this NFL collusion. They tried all this stuff. But this man is still standing. But to sit here and tell me in my face that Shedeur Sanders is not a first-round talent, because we heard all the build up to the draft. Even Tony Grossi came out and said that Shedeur Sanders shouldn't fall out of the first round. But then when he fell out of the first round and got to Cleveland, it was all about Dylan Gabriel. Then he wanted to start bashing and undermining Shedeur. But you wasn't talking that same stuff leading up to the draft. We heard what Mel Kiper said. Mel Kiper been standing 10 toes down. Emory Hunt, 10 toes down. And then you had the likes of Danny Cannell. Then you had the likes of what's old buddy, the old Lions quarterback. What's his name? That be on ESPN on First Take.
Trying to, is it dang, what's his name?
Chad, help us out. I forgot his name, but my point is where he said that Dylan Gabriel in the preseason put out better tape than Shedeur Sanders. Like, I don't know, Magdog. I don't know. I'm lost. Dan Orlowski said that Dylan Gabriel put out better tape than Shedeur Sanders in the preseason.
And what I don't understand is how's the QB situation is unresolved. It's they're telling us a lot with their narrative, because as I said before, for them to say that the QB situation is unresolved, that's telling me that they don't even believe in Todd Monken neither, because Todd Monken just said I have 2 starting caliber quarterbacks. So me as somebody that believes and trusts in Todd Monken, that's enough information for me to know that it's a good thing that it's not resolved, because we have a real deal QB competition. So for anybody else that disagree with that, it's telling me that they're not buying into Todd Monken neither.
Yeah, that's a great point right there. I'm glad you pointed that out, because you've said it many times and we've heard it. Todd Monken said he got 2 starting NFL quarterbacks on his roster, and the bad point is that Deshaun Watson, he can look good at times, but the problem is when them pads come on and them bullets start flying at your feet, and them interior linemen on the defense start barreling down on you, what you gonna do for me? Because if you forcing the ball into traffic when you ain't got no rush on you, what you gonna do when the rush is on you? You see what I'm saying? And Shedeur Sanders just came out of the live warfare not too long ago. Full pads. He got a taste of it. Sean Watson been missing for 6 years. For 6 years, fellas. And ladies in the chat, 6 years. And for all the narratives out there that Deshaun Watson is, gonna be the quarterback, if that's the case, so be it. He won't last long. Because when Todd Monken first took over his team, he said, we gonna start the way we finished. And who finished? Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders is on a 2-game win streak over divisional opponents, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh had a chance to clinch that division last year, and Shedeur Sanders broke their heart. And what Shedeur Sanders had when he played against Cincinnati, he went up against Joe Burrows, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. That is not compared to what Shedeur Sanders was throwing to, and he came out with the victory.
Absolutely. And during that time, these teams was trying to get to the playoffs.
Exactly.
And so Shedeur Sanders still stood in the paint with no first team reps, and I could say that offseason, and beat 2 divisional opponents. Like I say, I don't if that's not potential, I don't know what is.
Man. Look, chat, man. Look. We gotta give our props to Magdog TV for gracing the presence today. Magdog TV been doing some big things over there. Y'all gotta understand something. Magdog TV, when covering the Colorado content, man, this guy was traveling. This cat went down to Indianapolis to the combine and was checking out the players that was entering the NFL draft. Like, he was on site and on location. And, you know, some of the content that he drops, y'all need to go over there and subscribe to his channel, man. So any moderators that got his YouTube handle, drop it in the chat so people can go out there and follow him. I think Magdog is, what you damn near, 50,000?
44.
44, man. Y'all go over there, man. If y'all not subscribed to Magdog TV, man, go over there to Magdog TV. I know y'all see Magdog and Money Man be dropping bombs and stuff like that, man. But everybody in this new Cleveland media, man, y'all make sure y'all supporting everybody, man. The cat got knowledge, ex wide receiver. He played the game at a high level, so he knows what he's talking about, man. And like, look, when the news break, Mad Dog got it. When news break, it could come out late at night. Mad Dog got it for you. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of content creators, man, that are on the up and up when it comes to Shedeur. They drop real content, but there's a lot of people out there that got a lot of fluff, man, and just be and that's hard to compete with, Mag Dog. You know what I'm saying? When you got people out here just, you know, I ain't got to mention, people know who they are. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. You ain't got to mention them. You know what I'm saying? But the crazy thing about it is, like, when you bring it to them raw and uncut, man. You give them the truth serum, man.
Absolutely.
So, man, brother, I appreciate your time, man. So go ahead and shout out any other social medias where people can follow you, man, and get on this Mag Dog train.
Yeah, man. As I said before, I definitely appreciate you for allowing me on your platform. You know, anytime you want to go live or do a collab, maybe during the season or training camp, you know, to hit me up. You doing your thing too. You know, the main thing is stay consistent. You know, and the thing is, man, when you have that attitude, like, I don't, you know, I want to go against that person or that person, you know, you don't get your blessing like that, you know. Exactly. And so those people that carry that mentality, you see their views start to impact, you know, they have that type of attitude, man. People want to be around positivity. We're in 2026. Yes. There's a lot of space for us all, man. And so you know, keep doing your thing, and I definitely appreciate you for the opportunity.
Man, I appreciate that. And y'all see the shirt I'm rocking today, right? Y'all see that number 2, that's Sanders. Y'all see that, right? Wrist up. You know what I'm saying? We got to support my brother, man. We got to support nephew, man. But look, man, as we go out, man, I want y'all to go and vibe to this latest hot song, man. Simply ball dropping. So y'all go ahead and vibe to this. Y'all sit back and relax, vibe to this, and we're gonna get up out of here. Just 1 second. Let's go.
Stand up, stand up, stand up. Yo, the new Cleveland media, hear the crowd roar. Atlanta Dream supporters, we bringing more. Simply ball dropping, the hottest podcast in the game. K-Sap on the mic, he's the one to claim fame. Covering issues, we're breaking it down. Topics you like, we wear that crown. Simply ball dropping, can't nobody stop it. From the course to the field, we always rock it. Cleveland Browns, we got your back. Holding it down, that's a fact. You can't slide nothing past me, I keep those receipts. Breaking news, WNBA, feel the heat. Yeah, feel the heat. Yeah, yeah. Ain't Angel Reese in Atlanta. She's making waves. Double queen in the game, she braves. After the game recaps, highlights and scores. We're giving you the facts, always wanting more. Sit back, relax, catch these facts. One of the hottest podcasts, we on the right track. Simply ball dropping, can't nobody stop it. From the course to the field, we always rock it. Cleveland Browns, we got your back. Holding it down, that's a fact. You can't slide nothing past me, I keep those receipts. Breaking news, WNBA. Feel the heat, stand up, stand tall. We're making our mark with every episode, igniting that spark. From the hardwood floors to the fields of green, simply ball drop and living the dream. So tune in now, don't miss a beat. With St. Love, we bring the heat. Simply ball dropping, feel that drive. In the world of sports, we thrive, we arrive.
Yeah. So I appreciate everybody, man. But Magdog, man, appreciate you gracing the presence of the Simply Ball Dropping podcast, man. It's always good to hear from your brother, man. But look, this is gonna wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. And guess what, guys? We're gonna catch you on the next one. Deuces. Appreciate you, Mad Dog.
Oh yeah, anytime.
All right.